This is a meeting room here.
Right.
It's used for different groups. That IOP uses this. Al-Anon uses it. The AA meetings are held in the kitchen. They prefer the kitchen. This is our kitchen here.
Right.
This is where we basically hold all the AA and NA meetings are held,
Okay.
which we don't hold. The groups come in and they rent space from us.
Right. How much do you charge?
We charge 60% of the basket, whatever the basket is.
Right.
We collect 60% of the basket and we furnish coffee. Right. A lot of the churches around and so on where they have other meetings, they split it 50-50.
Right.
But the groups buy their own copies, so we furnish copy and we charge them 60% of whatever the basket is. So this is laundry we put in, not for anybody to use from outside, but for our own use.
For you,
washer and dryer.
Yes.
So on.
Okay.
And then back here we have the bathrooms.
Okay.
Which are just.
All right. Yes.
This is a handicap one and the other ones, but they're not designated to.
So how many people would come here on a normal day, Ed?
It varies from, well, the days like Wednesday when we have a meeting, there's usually 30 people here for the meeting at noon, and we'll have probably 20-25 people that just stop in and play games and so on. Okay. We have 3 computers set up here.
Is this for their use?
Yeah, this is for anybody's use.
Do you have any restrictions?
Only that they don't look at pornography.
Right.
That's the only.
The
only, and we used to have these in a separate room.
Yeah.
But we had problems with people coming and looking, pulling up pornography and so on, so we put them out here where they're much more obvious.
What do you think of this service they have in Connecticut, where they have about 3 or 4 telephone lines, and they phone up people once a week, just to see how they're getting on, if they've got any problems, or need any help or something?
I didn't even know about that.
That's proved a big success.
Really?
You know the difficulty they have phoning sponsors, and you know they.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, now they just phone them up and
they're doing the opposite.
Just to check up if they got any.
Actually, that can work under the recovery coaching program too.
Just something to think about.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I like that. Yeah. This actually is going to be our room that we're going to use for recovery coaching.
Oh, great.
We're going to put a computer in here, and we'll put in a lock file. So this will be the room that the recovery coaches will be meeting with the recoveries.
Great. Great.
And
wonderful.
We've got a ping pong table over here.
Yep.
And,
that's pretty good. I'm very envious of the facilities you have here and the buildings you have.
Well, actually, we're buying this, so our mortgage is very reasonable. We only pay about $600 a month mortgage.
Really?
But when we came in here, this place was nothing but it had been empty for years, and it was a warehouse, and there was all kinds of, it was about 10 truckloads of junk in here. And so there was no ceilings, there was no walls, there was nothing. It was so we with our grant money and having a low mortgage, we've been able to slowly work through it. We have another whole room upstairs over the kitchen, and actually a room over this room that we haven't even touched yet.
Okay.
And there's also a back room behind the kitchen that we're slowly working on. That's going to be a craft room.
Right. You get funding?
We get the funding from the state. We operate on the state grant money, which is $50,900 a year.
Okay.
Yeah. And right now, at the present, that's the only funding that we have.
They've had this building donated for $1?
Yes, $1.
Gee. Who did it belong to before?
Some people up in Woodstock, Vermont. I can't think of their names right offhand. Susan,
Look at this. Look at this. How come they donated this?
the story is this, they own property up on a hill above the property that this house was sitting on. And the property this house was sitting on went up for sale, and they bought it. And when they bought it, his mother said, well, she said, oh, you bought that nice house, I'll move into it. And they said, no, we're going to give it away to a nonprofit organization. And what happened was we had a mixer here with the Chamber of Commerce, and I mentioned at the end of that mixer, they asked the host party to say a few words. And I mentioned to them that we had this vacant lot here that someday we'd like to put a building on for transitional housing. And the gal from the Chamber of Commerce came up to me afterwards, and she said there's some people in Woodstock that are giving away a house, so you might want to contact them. That was on a Wednesday. On a Saturday, Sue and I went up and looked at it, and they gave it to us that day. They didn't even own it yet. They didn't own it, and that was in March. They didn't own it until July. But they gave it to us. If everything went through and they bought it, then they were giving it to us, which they did. So.
What, the house wasn't here before?
No, it was.
Oh, they've carted the house over.
It was 45 miles from here.
So that you've brought
It's a modular home. It splits right in the middle.
Right.
In two sections. Yeah. And it came in here on trailers. You don't have modular homes in Wales?
I'm sure they do, but I haven't come across one yet.
Okay. They come in on a big trailer.
Right.
And they bring in a big crane, and once the foundation wasn't here either. Right. Once we had the foundation done, which we'll go downstairs in a minute. Once that was all done, then they come in with this big crane and they set it, and there was 4 sections. It was this half, it was this half, that was another room, that was on another trailer, and then the third trailer had the entranceway on it.
Well, and the cooker and settees and things like that.
Oh, this was all, yeah, this was all here. It was, well, no, the furniture wasn't here, but the kitchen was all there. That all travels right along with everything else, yeah.
So it's worth having a resentment against the mother-in-law?
Yes, I guess so. There hasn't been a tight enough rein, because each turning point is independent of all the others. So.
Do you think that's a good thing?
No, I don't. And I think if it was done, set up again, that all the turning points would be under one 501c3, and there may be people that disagree with me on that, but I think there would be much more control over the turning points if they were all under one 501c3 and the executive board actually had some power.
What's the biggest problem, do you think, because they're not?
Directors and finances. I've been in recovery for 34 years, and I've actually been working with other people. I've been involved in that for 32 years. I worked in a treatment facility for 3 years after I was 2 years sober, called Canterbury Farms. I did, at one point, we had a halfway house here on Pearl Street, right just around the corner, for a couple of years. And so I've had a passion to give back ever since I got sober, and still have that passion. And as this working with the turning points has been very self-rewarding. And this, putting in this housing is something that is desperately needed in the area, because it costs so much money to keep people in jail that are nonviolent offenders Well, there's also been frustrating times that, you know, where, but the rewards are much more valuable than the frustrations. So, I'm still here.